their entire lives, their friends or their families have made decisions for them. Whether they knew it or not, they realized they were at this career or at this job or at this business point in their life only because of what their friends and family have shared. And so they've made every single decision based off of the opinions of other people. Welcome to Life and Business Podcast. I'm your host, Xue Bravo, and today we're going to talk all about decision fatigue. We're going to be answering questions like, why do we get tired of making decisions? What do we do when we're struggling to make a hard decision? Or how to make the right decisions? Or how do we know if we're making the right decisions? So the first question that my clients always ask me is like, can you help me with decision fatigue? I'm getting tired of making all of these hard decisions, and my brain kind of feels just mentally, emotionally tired of making these decisions. And the reason why we get what we call decision fatigue is because we have a lot of what I call open circles. So our open circles are every decision that we have not made in our lives, and we probably have hundreds of them, right? I want you to just think about your to-do list right now, things that you just have to make a decision on. Am I going to go lunch with this person? Am I going to meet with this person? Am I going to work with this person? What do my kids want to eat, right? Like, I don't know the answer to all of those questions. And if we don't take a second to answer these questions, then we have a lot of open circles in our brains. And so that's why we get tired of making decisions, because we feel like we're making decisions all day, every single day, even the really small ones, that when it comes time to making those big decisions, it feels really hard because we've already used our mental capacity. And I think about like on our phones, like how many open tabs we have. Some people have 5, some people have 500. I remember there was a point in time where I had like 500 and something, and I was like, wow, this is a record for how many open tabs that I have. And it takes so long to go out and close every single tab. And it takes even longer if you're like, I have to make a decision. Like, am I going to buy this thing that I've had this tab open for 2 months, or am I not going to buy it and I'm just going to exit out, right? And that's the same concept when it comes to decision fatigue. Is we have so many unmade decisions. And so if you are feeling like I am getting tired of making decisions, what you want to actually do is make more intentional decisions, right? And you want to make your decisions faster. That's what I would say. Oftentimes we're like, I'm going to open this product up and I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to open up this product in my tabs and I'm going to save it for later. And eventually we have like 20 things that we might want to buy, we might not want to buy, but we don't really know. So it's still in the back of our mind, and it's just like keeping our mind busy and just adding to our mental load of like, do I want to get this thing? Do I not? Do I want to work with this person? Do I not? And so my encouragement here is like, if you're feeling like you have decision fatigue, just start to make those big decisions that will impact the biggest pieces of your life. This next question is what to do when you're struggling to make a decision. I would say some practical things to do when you're trying to make a really hard decision is ask yourself why it's hard to make this decision. I had this client who had multiple people who wanted to partner with her on the same concept, and she had made a decision, a pretty confident decision of like, this is the person I want to work with. But then she shared this idea or this partner with somebody else, and that person had given her their opinions, their advice, their thoughts, and it made her doubt her decision. And so it made her feel like this was a hard decision as in, am I making the right decision? Am I choosing the right person? Because this is going to affect my business and my life for the future of it, right? And so oftentimes these hard decisions, they don't have to be hard if we don't allow other people's thoughts and opinions to affect us, especially if they are not directly in the business, if that makes sense, right? And so oftentimes if you're struggling to make a decision, you want to just come back to why. Why are you struggling with this decision? And the answer for my client was, she actually felt really confident about her decision. She was only doubting that decision because of what other people were telling her. And, they were sharing thoughts with her that made her doubt herself. And so maybe when you are struggling with a decision, you have to ask yourself, am I asking for outside opinion that actually doesn't really matter? Are these people helping me make this decision, or are they making my decision harder? And that's always the first piece, is like what I tell my clients is, don't ask for advice in making a decision from people who don't have direct experience with what it is that you are doing. So that would be the first piece. And now if you are not asking people for advice and opinions, right? And you're like, I kind of need some kind of advice, some direction, some opinion. How do I make that decision myself? I want you to think back to other decisions that you have felt really, really confident in making. And oftentimes this goes with this next question here of like, people are always asking me like, how do I know I'm making the right decision? Or how do I make the right decision? And what I want to offer here is that there are no right decisions. you ever only make a decision and then on the other side of like the decision having been made and then seeing the effects of it, do you realize, oh, that was the right decision? And so that's the first thing that I would do too, is like, don't ask people who have no, space or no expertise to be giving you their opinion or advice. But then also, when you are trying to make a decision for yourself, come in with the mindset of there's no right decision here. You want to ask yourself instead, what is the next best decision, right? What is the next best step? And if I decide to do this thing, if I decide to partner with this person, is that actually going to help me achieve the end result? And so that's another question you want to ask yourself, is like, in making the decision, what result am I trying to create? Am I trying to create more followers? Am I trying to create more clients? Am I trying to create more time? What is the result that you're trying to create? And then asking yourself, what decision is going to actually help me to get there? Because if we don't have the result, the end result in mind, that's how we start making decisions that we end up saying, okay, that was a bad decision, because we didn't think about what is the result we want to create. So we made all these decisions that weren't going to take us down the path of creating that specific result instead. And so if you are struggling to make a hard decision, take a look at what is the result that you want to create, and then what answer or what choice or what decision will actually help me to create that end result. The next question I want to just pose here is a question I get often of like, how do I know that I'm making the right decision? And so just like what I said earlier, is like, you will never know that you are making the exact right decision until you've already made the decision and you've come out on the other side and you get to decide, was this the right decision or not? And what I like to also share is like, the word right is so subjective to what you want to view. On one of the other episodes, I shared about how I invested in this really, really, really high ticket program, and it ended up not delivering what they actually said they would deliver. And so I could take a look at that and I could say that was the complete wrong decision. Or I could say, hey, you know what? That was the right decision, because I thought that I was going to get this, but I actually learned so much more, something so much more valuable, which was how to run my business. How do I want to build a business that reflects my values?